Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's featured Reddit stories are from Am I the A-Hole? Story 1 today is by Luscious of Borg. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband he doesn't know how to use chopsticks? Okay, so some background. I'm Hispanic, and when my family immigrated from Mexico, they were in an English as a second language program with a lot of other Mexican and Japanese people. My dad learned how to properly use chopsticks from a Japanese immigrant and showed me how to do it when I was a toddler. I've been doing it my whole life and find it really easy and honestly better than forks for some foods. My husband and his sisters taught themselves how to use chopsticks when they were teenagers. I noticed they all struggle with them, but I haven't said anything critical about it. So my husband and I went to an udon festival at a Buddhist temple, and this much older Japanese lady was staring at me eating udon and praised how I was using my chopsticks, saying I was holding them well and asking who taught me. Then she turned to my husband and criticized him, saying he broke the wooden chopsticks wrong. They were lopsided, and he's holding them improperly. He looked really embarrassed and tried to defend himself. Fast forward to this week. My sister-in-law visited us from out of state. My husband prepared a rice bowl and my sister-in-law plated them with forks. I went ahead and grabbed chopsticks to replace my fork with. I left their bowls alone. They both immediately made fun of me, saying, "Why can't I eat it with a fork? Why do I need chopsticks?" When I said I felt weird eating Japanese food with a fork, they said I was being pretentious and just take the fork. I then retorted that at least I know how to use chopsticks correctly. They both went silent and my husband turned red in embarrassment. He later told me in private this hurt him. I realized this was rude on my part and didn't help. I don't normally say anything on what type of utensils other people use, but they kept picking on me for it. Am I the a-hole here? Let's start by saying you're not the a-hole. They were a little bit of the a-hole, but nobody's really an a-hole in this. This is an argument over chopsticks. Either use a fork or use chopsticks. If you're really good at using them, who cares? I don't understand why people give a flying blank if you're using your chopsticks properly or not. If you're putting food successfully in your mouth, I'd say that's a win. You could stab it with a chopstick and I would be fine with you putting it in your mouth and say, hey, you're using chopsticks. On this one, I honestly have to say I do not care who's the a-hole in this one. It's such a silly thing to fight over. The only reason I've said that they might be a bit more the a-hole is because they attacked you and called you pretentious because you chose to use chopsticks when you're eating your meal. Regardless, him saying that he got hurt because you said, at least I know how to use chopsticks correctly, is ridiculously childish. Again, I'm not in the situation, so I don't really know what words were exactly exchanged. I can only imagine there's got to be more to it than this, though. I just feel like it's such a ridiculous thing to get mad over. If somebody picked on me and said, I don't know how to use chopsticks properly, and to be honest, I don't. I've seen videos, but I've never learned from a professional Japanese tutor how to hold the chopsticks properly. I don't care. Either I use them or I don't. I just think it's ridiculous to get mad about it. I would have laughed about it and said, yeah, I taught myself wrong. I should learn how to use them properly. But there are far bigger and better things to get mad at a spouse or significant other over than how you hold your chopsticks or whether he's allowing you to use a fork or a chopstick when you're eating your food. It's silly. Okay, anyway, some of these stories I always find to be a little over the top. He's hurt that you said he doesn't know how to use chopsticks properly. He got embarrassed. My goodness, grow up. He's being a baby, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is something worth getting hurt over, but it's just so stupid to me. Our next story is by Plain Presents 9361. Am I the a-hole for asking a guest not to crochet at my bachelorette party? I'm a 28 female getting married this year. Yay! And went on my bachelorette party trip last weekend. The trip was to a cabin-type setting where we all stayed in the same house. I have 3 bridesmaids, but I also invited some friends to come along. Part of the group is my brother's girlfriend, who's 36 female, brother is 38 male, of 5 months, who isn't in the wedding party. She wasn't initially invited because I don't know her well and they live in another state, but my brother asked me to invite her as a favor to him. He said that she's never been invited to a bachelorette and likely never would be. I have no idea why, this is just what he told me, and hoped she could have this experience. Since people would be paying their own way and the group wasn't large, I figured why not? She seemed nice enough. The problem is that during the weekend, she would insist on crocheting all the time, even during our events and games. When I asked her to participate with us, she said that she took time off for the trip and wanted to make the most of her vacation by catching up on her crochet projects. And that playing games and hanging out with my friends wasn't fun and she didn't want to waste her days off. All her words, not mine. To be clear, I don't care that she wants to crochet in general. Most of our activities ended after dinner anyway, and we'd just hang out in the living room. I just asked her to save the crocheting for at night after the activities. My issue is that she was taking her crocheting with us to places like wine tasting, brunch, a museum tour, etc. It was super disrespectful in my eyes because she'd insist on coming, yet wouldn't participate in the activity. Honestly, I was bothered that she was crocheting while we were playing bridal games, but at least that was in our living room. The trip's over now, but apparently she was super peeved that I asked her to limit her crocheting time, and my brother's been pestering me to apologize to her for ruining her trip. I personally don't feel like I should because she shouldn't have come to a bachelorette party if she didn't want to do bachelorette-y things. But I also love my brother very much and I don't want this to come between us. I'm starting to doubt myself because his girlfriend sounds really annoyed with me. Please help. She brought her crocheting with her, wine tasting, to brunch, and on a museum tour. So she brought this bag with her or something, and you guys must have been in a mobile vehicle for this museum tour? And she sat in this thing and crocheted? Or did she walk along crocheting while at your party? In my opinion, somebody should not go to a bachelorette party unless they're close to the person who's throwing the party. Because this sort of thing could happen where people may not want to participate. It's okay that she doesn't want to participate. Why would your brother say, I need her to go to this event so that she can have this experience with you, that she needs to go to a bachelorette party? Does she just need to go to it? She should have been participating in things if she came. Regardless, I don't think she should have come to begin with. It's not that she's a mean person. She just has things that she really likes to do, and that is that one thing. She loves to crochet. That's what she wants to do even in her free time, and that's okay too. Don't come to a bachelorette party and then be like, well, I don't want to do any of those things that you're going to be doing because that would be a waste of my time. That is very antisocial, which, again, is fine. But don't go there if you're just going to be antisocial and say, I don't want to waste my time doing anything with you. The OP added an edit that answered some questions that people asked in the comments. Edit, I want to add some details in case it helps because I think people think I'm being a bridezilla. 1. She was crocheting a throw blanket about the width of my entire arm span. That's what she was carrying with her to dinner, museums, wineries, etc. It wasn't some small thing the size of my palm. She also had the materials for the blanket with her, about 5 balls of yarn. I'm not sure what you'd call it, but each ball was about the size of a cantaloupe. 2. We gave her the option to stay home. I told her I wouldn't be offended if this trip wasn't her style and she wanted to spend it crocheting. But she insisted on coming out with us to every single event. 3. Even though my brother asked me to bring her, she admitted to me that she wanted to come and that she had asked my brother to ask me. 4. She doesn't have social anxiety. She just thought our activities were boring and a waste of her time. I mentioned this in another comment, but I overheard her calling my party a basic B bachelorette. But I didn't want to confront her because I didn't want to cause drama. 5. My biggest issue isn't that she wasn't giving me attention. Please, I'm a grown adult and already thankful for the friends giving me love and joy during the weekend. I just thought it was super rude to crochet such a big project during group activities. She literally brought her blanket to a museum and crocheted during a private tour. Okay, so she doesn't have social anxiety, but she could still be antisocial. It sounds like she's just being rude for some reason in this. What do you even say to this? And How strange would it be if you were at a museum and somebody was in a private group being toured around by a tour guide and somebody had a giant blanket they were crocheting as they walked around? Or, I guess, they could have been sitting, like I said earlier. If she really, really wanted to go and do these things, I would have just brought her and said, these activities are open to you if you want to partake in them. And if she didn't, that's fine too. Everything's just fine in this one. I'm not really sure what to say about her. It's very strange that she does it all the time and she didn't put it down for activities like that. Came to your activities and then crocheted. Down in the comments by Rockology Adam. So, do we maybe see why Brother's girlfriend would never be invited to a bachelorette party? Not the a-hole. I'm super curious about whether Brother's girlfriend even wanted to go on this bachelorette weekend or whether it might have been your brother's idea, and that the answer changes how much I judge the girlfriend here. If this was your brother's idea, her a-holery is super mild. She had vacation time, this is what she wanted to do with it. Your brother sets this trip up so she could spend some time with you. It's unfortunate that he inserted himself here and ruined both of your weekends. If she made the suggestion herself, then she is wildly a-holish. You don't need to sit around wine tasting doing crochet, and more importantly, no one with much sense of etiquette would. It's one thing if you're sitting around the house in those quiet evenings, yes, by all means, relax how you want. But during scheduled events, don't come on the trip if you don't want to participate in things. The worst part is that if she had done one or two things, maybe the wine tastings or the games without the crochet, and had just told you she was shy or quiet or an introvert with limited social battery, this would have been fine. You would have cared more that she did one or two things than that she crocheted during all other things. Our stories for today have come to a close. If you enjoy this content, please click like or subscribe. You can click the little notification bell and get alerts when new videos drop. Until we meet again, have a glorious day.